Ready? Yeah? Good. Shambhavi went to see Chamundeshwari today. She has just walked in from Mysore. Good. Shall we start? Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is nice to chant because each time we chant, the Arthaspuranam takes place. Means it goes a little deeper and you see things you think you have never seen before, but actually you have seen them before and have just forgotten. Okay, so that is how it is. So we'll chant from the beginning. सत्प्रत्ययाः किन्नु विहाय सन्तम् हृद्येष चिन्तारहितो हृदाख्यः कथं स्मरामस्तममेयमेकम् तस्य स्मृतिस्तत्र दृढैव निष्ठा मृत्युञ्जयं मृत्युभयाश्रिभियाश्रितानाम् अहं मतिर्मृत्युमुपैति पूर्वम् अथ स्वभावादमृतेषु तेषु कथं पुनर्मृत्युधियोऽवकाशः सर्वैर्निदानं जगतोऽहमश्च वाच्यः प्रभुः कश्चिदपारशक्तिः चित्रे त्रैलोक्यं च विलोकिता च पटः प्रकाशोऽप्यभवत्स एकः. This first verse. Oh, but it's the third verse. Yeah, numerically it's the third verse. But we had already, as we already saw, Mangala Shlokau Vyakhyatau, the first two were considered prayers. So the first verse here, what it does? It sets the stage for the entire text. That is why I'm spending a lot of time with it. That's why we are here talking about it class after class after class, because that's what it does. It sets the stage. It is like a pratigya where all the things that are mentioned here they are just the outlines and they are going to be colored in with the various other verses that we will come across. So as we have seen, it's a very packed verse. So we have seen many things here. Up till now, what have we seen? We have talked about how the basic understanding of the differences between I, or rather what he calls the I notion, and then the Jagat, which is what is the Jagat? Whatever I encounter. So for me, your body, mind, sense complex is the Jagat. and and so that is why the Jagat is in the second person. Because whatever I confront directly, whatever I have to deal with is the second person. And then the third person is that which is Ishvara, and the third person is Ishvara because it is not very well known. That is why it is Tad Brahma, that Brahman somewhere over there, and which is not very well understood. So these three things comprise most theologies, most philosophies, that much we have seen. And how and why also we saw that, because people just take the surface level things and then they just go with it thinking that it is real. Then we also saw how these three things are the difference between all these three things is mithya. And what is mithya? Mithya means that which is a dependent reality. Mithya is not illusion. Mithya is not false. Mithya means a dependent reality without which something cannot be. Like the pot in relation to clay is what? Mithya. Why? Because without clay, pot cannot exist. The existence of pot is dependent upon clay. It is clay, clay, clay all the way. So, from the standpoint of the empirical reality, we say pot and clay. So, if you tell pot, you are not really a pot, you are clay, it would say, no, 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 pot is God. I am at best a crackpot. I don't know what I'm doing, and I am small. Clay is God. I am odd. I am small. Clay is all. Clay is cause. I am just a little because. This is what the pot would say. It needs a pot guru. Okay. No pun intended. Okay. Yeah, it needs it needs a pot guru who will teach it. You are not clay. Sorry, you are not just the pot. You are much more than this name and form. You are clay. And so we have seen in detail how this distinction is mithya, that one indivisible, a non-dual vastu is as it were divided into I, which is the ahankara, I notion, and then the jagat. The jagat means everything that I confront, starting with you, and then you, and then you, and all these yous, and then the and then the if there is a cause for the jagat, that cause, if one accepts a cause, that cause also is seen as separate. And in fact, many theologies, as he is going to point out in the next verse, thrive on these differentiations. In fact, if these differences between the Jagat, the world, Jiva, the individual, and Ishvara, the Lord, were to be challenged, inquired into, or obfuscated, they would feel very nervous because that's all the whole philosophy is standing on that. And if those differences are taken away, there is no religion to talk about, there is no philosophy or theology to talk about. And therefore, this is something which is taken for granted, and he's going to develop it much more in the next verse, and we'll see it through the Maharshi's own words in the next verse. But for now, we have done this much, and we have done a nice unpacking of this ahankara and what it is, etc. We have seen, and then how it is mithya too, because it all depends on that one sat, and that one sat which is conscious, which is sentient. It is an aware sat, it is not a jada. Jada means it's not inert. And so this sat alone is, everything else is just dependent on this sat. And we see this in the last two lines, where we have the concept of pataha and prakashaha. Pataha means what? The canvas, and on which the painting or the embroidery is done. The embroidery with all the colors, or the painting with all the shades, is the jagat, the variegated jagat, nana rupatmakam jagat. And then the canvas is sat, adhishthana, and then the prakasha is chit. That because the jagat is an object of knowledge. How does it become an object of knowledge? Because this sat is self-revealing sat. And that self-revealing sat is prakashatmakam here. So in the form of that light of consciousness, which makes the knower and known into one. There is no knower and no more known, because that same consciousness supports the painting and supports the onlooker as well. And this is also, as I said, this whole verse is, reminds us of the Advaita Makaranda, the pollen of non-duality. Very beautiful poem. We should study that sometime. It's just very, very wonderful. And so it's almost like he's channeling that, because here he used the word ahamaha. He makes aham into into an object, because he's not talking about aham, the I, but he's talking about objectifying the ahankara. So there also the poet in the Advaita Makaranda objectifies the ahankara in the same way, using aham grammatically as a word, and then and not following the declensions of asmad, asmad shabda, but actually just what is that? Just going along with the word aham itself and declining it, and showing that it is a spin-off on this I. It's an interloper. It's a pretender. It's a masquerader. This I notion, which has attached itself to the body mind sense complex, which has identified wrongly with all the possessions and all the things and all the ragas and dveshas. That's why it comes to some kind of a suffering. So in the Advaita Makaranda, we have a similar verse. Jada jada vibhagoyam ajade mai kalpitah vitti bhage same chitre chara chara vibhagavat. Jada and ajada. Jada means inert. Ajada means what? Ajada means sentient. The inert and the sentient. Jada jada vibhagah ayam. Ayam jada and ajada iti vibhagah. So this kind of a distinction between sentient and what else? And insentient. This kind of a distinction is what is ajade mayi. In me, who is all consciousness, I am not jada, I am not inert. In fact, the very statement I am inert is a problem, because even to cognize something inert, there needs to be a sentient presence. So who says something is jada? Who is saying this is jada and that is chetana? Who is saying that? Me. And who is this me? This me is consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanya. Chaitanya, which is not avachinna, which is not conditioned by the body, mind, senses, and or the ahankara. So, this in me, which is just consciousness, unconditioned by any other delimiting factors, in me, ajade mayi, in me, which is consciousness, this jada and ajada, this difference has been kalpita. Kalpita means has been imagined, so to speak. I am the one who has come up with this distinction. Because really, if Brahman had a shoulder, you could tap Brahman on the shoulder and say, "Hello, are you Jada? Where is if you are Ajada? How did Jada come to be?" If you ask, "What is this difference?" Brahman will say that there is no such difference. From the standpoint of Brahman, everything is Chetana. So who is making this distinction? I am making this distinction depending on all the things that I can objectify. So this jada vibhaga ayam, this vibhaga, what is that? This is jada, this is chetana, iti vibhaga, this differentiation. Ajade mayi kalpitaha. In me, who is this conscious being, kalpitaha, it is superimposed, it is imagined. How is it imagined? Bhitti bhage same chitre. Vitti Bhage means in ancient India, you had those murals, like I told you in the Varli tribe. So the whole village compound walls have these beautiful spiral drawings, very, very wonderful, of these stick figures, doing all kinds of things in the Jagat. In the little Jagat of all kinds of things, there is a nice, various drawings. And so the wall has these paintings. Vitti means wall. Vitti bhage same chitre. So, so on the wall, there are many, many, many paintings. And in the paintings, there is movement happening. What kind of a movement? Somebody is beating somebody else up. Somebody is chasing somebody. And the tiger is eating the lamb. And like this, so many movements are there. So that movement, in order to be able to cognize the movement, what is needed? Stillness is needed. And what is the stillness? The bhitti bhaga, the surface of the wall is what is still. The wall is still, and then it lends its presence to the moving chitras. And similarly, this Satchit, which is the Adhishthana. Who is this Adhishthana? I am this Adhishthana. Don't look for some other force anywhere else outside of the I. I am as Chaitanya. I am this Adhishthana who gives the support to all these things. What kinds of things? Chara chara vibhaga. That which moves, that which doesn't move. I am the one who cognizes movement. I am the one who cognizes stillness. And I am the one in whom this sentient and insentient differences are there. And I am the one who has categorized. I am the note taker and the categorizer of these differences. And then when we see paintings on a wall, and then immediately it's very clear the movement in the painting is possible because of the stillness of the walls. Similarly, this akartra, this Brahman, which is not a karta, not an agent of action, not a recipient of the result of action, allows this whole jagat in the form of sentient, insentient, everything. All the whole jagat to just be what it is, allows it to be without trying to do anything else. And so, and then what? Then we find that the painting, the seer of the painting, between the seer of the painting and the painting, what is the distance? Well, if I'm in a museum, it is about 6 feet. No, that's not the distance we are talking about. Because, in the museum, there is a recommended place where you have to stand and look at Monet. And if you go close to it, they will first of all not allow because the paints are all very, very vulnerable to time, and it has to be cleaned and it has to be preserved. So you can't have everybody going close and touching it. But nonetheless, if there is even regardless of that, there is some kind of a viewing recommendation. Like if you stand so many feet behind, then you can view this thing properly. So you have to see the whole thing. Like in this impressionist paintings like Monet and all, you can't go close to it and look at one lily. It doesn't do anything. You have to go far and look at the whole thing for that kind of an experience. So is that the distance you are talking about? What is the distance between the picture and the seer? That's not the distance. The distance here is purely one of a projected distance. It is a kalpita distance. The distance between the seer and the seen is as though projected, manufactured kalpita distance. Kalpita distance. Why? Because it is the same adhishthana. It is the same truth, Satchit Ananda, which upholds the seer, which upholds the seen, which upholds the mode of seeing. This is what is, the Swarupa Lakshana of Brahman, Satchidananda, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Swarupa means the inherent Lakshana, that which is inherent to Brahman, which is which is intrinsic to Brahman, which is not incidental. So this is what it is. So the distance between me, the seer, and the painting is really not that much at all. When you understand that this demarcation is kalpita, is purely from the empirical standpoint, it's not from the absolute standpoint, it is not from the standpoint of the paramarthika satta, but from the vyavaharika satta. And so therefore what? So therefore this distinction is just purely a superimposed and as though distinction. There is one Iranian filmmaker, and he made one film about a family, a nomadic family in some rural Iran. This joint family going from place to place, and they sustain themselves by making carpets and selling carpets, weaving carpets. And like many families, it was a dysfunctional family. Nobody really got along. And so they would weave a carpet. It was some of it was a set design. There were certain kind of cultural motifs that were done in the border, but in the middle, people in the modern times liked more modern designs, and so they had some modern designs. And then they would take out the frustration, yeah, in very interesting ways. So the daughter-in-law who had this very controlling mother-in-law drew the figure, in the carpet itself, wove the mother-in-law figure into the carpet one day in the movie. And then you have to hang the carpet, you have to wash the carpet in the river and then hang it to dry. And then you have to beat the dust out of it afterwards. And so she had fun beating the mother in law, not the mother in law, but the figure of the mother in law. The mother in law came, she had gone to the market to purchase some more yarn. And she was aghast what is going to happen. She immediately understood what was happening there. It was just a stick figure, but since the daughter-in-law was enjoying beating up this female stick figure, she said she's not going to be outdone. So when the daughter-in-law slept, she unraveled the whole carpet and then wove in the daughter-in-law who was, in a very bad situation in the thing, without anything to eat and out of the house on the streets. Meaning, this is what is going to happen if you keep up this. And then the father-in-law and the husband, both of this woman, were both drunkards. And then so she, and here there was a very interesting and uneasy truce between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, and they both drew their husbands onto the carpet, and then they had fun, dyeing them and beating them up and washing them in the river and throwing them off, all these kinds of things. And so then it kept getting unraveled and then built up again, and then kept getting unraveled and built up again. And then that's why it took them so long to finish one carpet, because they were really living their life through this. They were really enacting their whole life through this carpet. This is somehow like this. It was a very brilliant documentary in a way, because it is just illustrating what is happening here. So the painting here is really non-separate from you in so many ways. And so what you observe, the truth of what you observe is consciousness. The truth of the observer is consciousness. The subject-object division, chara and achara, jada and ajada, ajade mai kalpitah. It is just something that is purely a superimposition upon that consciousness. I have imagined this division. I am the author of this division. I am the agent of this division. And if I take this division seriously, I come to grief. Naturally, I come to grief. And so, therefore, this is not to be done. And so this is what, it is not to be done means it's not to be taken seriously. And so this is this is how to see that everything is Satchidananda, everything is an extension of me, and all that I see is me everywhere. Whatever I see is but just me. It's just me. Whatever I see is me. That's why people love Vedanta, because it's all about me. And so people say, oh, this is nice. This is nice. Everybody likes to hear about themselves. And so like this, so this is the Swarupa Lakshana. And the Tatastha Lakshana, meaning the incidental definition of looking at Ishvara with all the Shadaishwarya, with all the sixfold bhagas. Bhagas means the auspicious qualities that make Ishvara Ishvara. So with those sixfold bhagas, this Ishvara, and that also is the Shakti is Kalpita. Kalpita means a projected Shakti. Projected Shakti because of all knowledge, and then for the Jiva, a projected ignorance because of, again that Maya Shakti, the veiling power of Maya Shakti. And then from the standpoint of the Jagat, really speaking, that from the, that which is a manifestation, it is a manifestation of Ishvara. Tad aikshat, tad anupravishat, tad abhavat. So this being saw, this is how it is talked about in the Upanishad. This being saw, this being abhavat anupravishat. This being, as it were, created all the nama rupas, projected the nama rupas, animated the nama rupas by entering into all the nama rupas. So all the names and forms become alive and fantastic and ready for transaction. All the nama rupas became alive because everything is Brahman alone. There is nothing outside of Brahman. There is nothing other than a Brahman. The raw material with which everything is made is also Brahman. And the nimitta, the intelligence behind it is also Brahman. That is why it is abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. So the nimitta karana, the intelligence which has conjured up the entire universe, including everybody's karma. Do you know how difficult it must be to think of everybody's karma? My God, one person's karma itself is a big headache. But then Bhagavan thinks of very infallibly, has thought of who this person will marry and then who their children will be and how they will be connected to each other in certain ways, how their friends might overlap, where will the two meet, and what will happen. All these things, it's just amazing, it's mind boggling. Even to think of one person's karma is a headache. One can, one will have a migraine very soon. But then if you think of the karma of the whole Jagat with all the jivas intersecting, and some jivas wanting to go to America from India, and other jivas being born in America and thinking I just don't belong here, and I think I am some kind of a Hindu born in the wrong place, wrong time, and then what? And then there is a lot of pressure from the parents to become successful or do something and whatnot, and the person, carries a jhola. Jhola means a bag that has seen better days, carries a jhola on the shoulder and then goes off to an ashram. Why? This is what it is. This is karma. Because in the last life, the person was indeed born in India, but did not have any time for yoga, did not even know how to spell pranayama, let alone Vedanta, had no clue. And all the time said, "Oh God, send me to America, send me to America." There was not enough karma. The karma engine kind of died down. There was not enough karma to ship off this fellow to America. And so in the next life, born in America, but with an Indian heart and Indian longings. And so the cycle keeps going. Same thing with women and men also. So born a man in this life and then feels on top of the world, I'm the best, east or west, and who are you? And nobody needs you. And then the next life born as a woman. Oh no, this is terrible. So much discrimination. What's going on? And then next life again. This is how the whole cycle keeps on going. There is a brilliance in this. There is a logic in this. There is an intelligence in this. There is a purpose in this. And all this is part of this manifest Jagat. So therefore what? It is abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. Okay, all this is fine, but what do I do now? So I should take a big eraser and rub off all the distinctions. Rub off all the distinctions. Yeah, rub off all the distinctions. Where will you start? You start with your own hand. I mean, here it's kind of easy to illustrate, because if I do like this, some things get rubbed off because of this virtual background. And so this is what it is. Whole reality is virtual. Virtual. Very, very interesting reality. It's all virtual. Now it's easy to explain this because we have this concept of virtual reality. And so therefore, this is all virtual. And then so therefore, you don't have to take an eraser and rub it out. You just have to know it is virtual in order to enjoy it. That's all you have to do. You cannot take an axe to Ishvara Srishti. Why? Because axe is also Ishvara Srishti. That is why. So you cannot take an axe and then you don't have to cut down duality. You just have to discipline the ahankara to see beyond the duality and understand that it is not caught up in the duality. That is the wisdom. That is the idea. And so the last two lines here talk about the oneness that is there in all the Upanishads. Sarvam khalvidam brahma brihadaranyaka mahavakya. And then what else do we have? Imaha tisro devataha. Where have we read that expression? Imaha tisro devataha. अनेन जीवेन आत्मना नामरूपे व्याकरमाणि इति. Where have we heard that? Bhagavad Gita. Am I right? Yes? Sudden quiz. Unexpected. Where have we heard that?
Chandogya.
Chandogya. Which chapter?
Sixth chapter.
Sixth chapter, Chandogya. As soon as you say Imaha Tisro Devataha, you have to immediately think Chandogya. So, Anena Jivena Atmana, in the form of this Jiva, which is really Atma, I will make possible. I will Namarupe Vyakaravani. I will give rise to all these names and forms. And so like this, we have all the Shruti, which talks about all this Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. All these are there, which are illustrated in this first verse. Now let us go to the next one. Arabhyate Jiva Jagat Paratma. आरभ्यते जीव जगत्परात्मा तत्त्वाभिधानेन मतं समस्तम् तत्त्वाभिधानेन मतं समस्तम् इदं त्रयं यावदहं मतिः स्यात् इदं त्रयं यावदहं मतिः स्यात् सर्वोत्तमाहं मतिशून्यनिष्ठा सर्वोत्तमाहं मतिशून्यनिष्ठा आरभ्यते is begun. Jiva Jagat Paratma Paratma Tattva Abhidhanena Jiva Jagat Paratma Tattva Abhidhanena Samastam Matam Arabhyate. This is the Anvaya. This is to convert it into prose. So what does this mean? This threefold distinction. Which threefold distinction? The one which is prakritam, the one that is under discussion, the one that we are talking about. This threefold discussion, this threefold division between Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara, Arabhyate, is begun. This charcha is begun. Charcha means this kind of an inquiry, this kind of a talk, this kind of a discussion is begun. So, Jiva Jagat Paramatva Tattva Abhidhanena. Abhidhanena means by naming. By naming and delineating what is Jiva, what is Jagat, and what is Paramatma, Samastam Matam, all kinds of spiritual and religious, outfits are abhyate. All the religious discussions start with a differentiation of Jiva, Jagat, and Paratma, Ishvara. This is what it is. You examine any religion, this is what it is. And usually, how it is, Paramatma is outside the scheme, because not easily available for objectification, not at all available, not locally available. You who, Ishvara, are you there? No answer comes. And so one thinks one is outside of the scheme of things. And therefore, and even in the Hindu tradition, there are certain matas, there are certain belief systems that say that Bhagavan is somewhere else. Bhagavan made this world all right, but then is sitting somewhere else, is available somewhere else. And that somewhere else could be heaven and could be some kind of an Indian heaven, Vaikuntha or Kailasa or something like that, some form of a heaven here, or it could be some heaven. God made the universe, but now is away, untouched by it, away from it. And so this is this is the general understanding of Bhagavan, belief-based understanding of Bhagavan. And then what else is there? The Jagat. All religions, all religious persuasions, philosophical beliefs, etc., do talk, they have a lot to talk about the world. And then they have a lot to say about you, who this seeker is, who are you? Who, wherever you have come, whether you have come to the mosque or the church or the synagogue or the temple, they have some things to tell you about you. There are some matas who say some things about the jiva. You were born a sinner. This is a mata about the jiva. The jiva is, is born from birth. There is papa. And then there's sometimes the jiva is something, needing to improve in certain ways in order to greet God or meet God. There are certain beliefs like that in certain philosophies. And then there are certain, there's a lot to say about how the jiva should be, what the jiva should be doing in life. There are certain commandments. Do not steal, do not lie, do not covet things that do not belong to you. Lead a dharmic life. Satyam vada, dharmanchara, swadhyayan ma pramadaha, all these things. So there is a lot to say about the jiva, because the jiva is the one coming for hell. And then certain matas first, establish the fact that the jiva is bad, and then appoint themselves to save the jiva. Because, obviously, if you are bad and helpless, you need a savior. And then so like this, so there is a lot to say about the jiva. And then the matas also have a lot to say about the world. What kind of a place this world is. This world is full of strife. It is a Kurukshetra. It's a battleground. There are people all the time at loggerheads, and then you have to be careful. And then certain other matas, like you find this in Buddhism, etc. The world is the cause of suffering. The world is a sad place, and the world is the cause of sadness and sorrow. Why? Because as soon as you see the world, you see all desirable objects, and you want to get those desirable objects, and so the sorrow starts. So this is a all. I'm not saying that whether it's good or bad or anything. I'm just sort of listing or the illustrating all the ways in which the various philosophies talk about the world and about the jiva and about God, Ishvara, whatever that is. They have their own beliefs. We can include philosophers like Rousseau and all those people. And then and we can even include ancient philosophies like Charvaka Matam. What is this Charvaka Matam? Charvaka Matam is what you see is what you get. You like something? Yeah, actually I do. Okay, go for it. Don't wait. Grab before other people grab. And if other people are about to grab when you are grabbing, hit them on the hand hard and then shoo the hand away and you grab. Oh no, but this is not dharmic. Dharmic, shmarmic, who cares? Who cares if it's dharmic? No, but then I'll get papa. This is an act that will accrue wrong results. Wrong results, really? And when will those wrong results be experienced? In the next life. What next life? What you see is what you get. Have you gone to heaven and come back? Do you remember your last life? Well, no. Then what is there? Where is the proof that there is next life? There is no next life. There is no previous life. All that is there is right now, right here. And then what? Eat, drink, be merry. Make sure you have ghee with every meal. But what about cholesterol? What about, but then I can't afford ghee. Doesn't matter. Max out your credit card. Beg, borrow, and in fact, you can even steal. But make sure you have ghee with every meal. Yavat jivet, sukham jivet. As long as you live happily. And then what? Rinam kritva api ghritam pibet. Make sure, that you have ghee with every meal. Ghee means something costly. Make sure you have very costly dishes and desserts with every meal. Every meal, let it be a 10-course meal. But I can't afford it. Doesn't matter. I already told you, borrow money. But how will I return it? Don't worry about it. You're just turning out to be a big bore. भस्मीभूतस्य देहस्य पुनरागमनम kutah. Enjoy, because once you die and the body is put on the funeral pyre, who will come back to be troubled by the creditors? There is no karma, there is no accountability, there is no papa, there is no punya. Enjoy. Enjoy. Come on, have a second helping. Don't worry about it. So this is the philosophy called Charvaka. What you see is what you get. This is opposite of Buddha philosophy. Buddha philosophy, the whole world makes you sad. Therefore, get nirvana quickly. And how to get nirvana? By training the mind, by watching the thoughts, and then seeing that all this is not true. Seeing that none of this is true at all. And so, like this, you can get nirvana quickly, get out of this, because in fact, there is karma, there is punarjanma, and there are all these things. And then, so all these matas are there. Arabhyate means this division is the beginning for all the matas to come into existence. Matas means various standpoints. In fact, even Vedanta philosophy, we are also guilty as charged, because we begin with Atma, Anatma, Ishvara. We also begin with this threefold distinction, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Then what is the difference? We don't end there. That is why we have the word arabhyate, is begun. So this is the beginning point, and it's okay to be a beginning point. Because where will the spiritual kindergartner go? The spiritual, KG is, is all these words that begin with J. J for Jiva, J for Jagat. Oh, but Ishvara doesn't begin with J. Sure, it does. J for Jagadishvara. You see, so it all begins with J. And so here, as a spiritual kindergartner, if you start talking about Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, and then what else? Satyam and Mithya, and then pot and clay, and then what else did we talk about? This one, what is that? Tatastha Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana, the kindergartner will just stop coming. He will say, what is going on? But instead you say, well, let's count the things in this room. What is there? I am there. Yeah, very good. You're there. Fantastic. You are so intelligent. You're made for this Vedanta knowledge. You are there. Fantastic. What else is there? Well, I'm sitting on a chair. The chair is there. Very good. I see the chair. Chair is there. Very good. What's the difference between you and the chair? Well, the chair cannot say, I am chair, but I can say, I am. I exist. I am so and so. Very good. Excellent. And then we say, you are Atma. Whatever you objectify, Anatma. And that which connects you and everything else is Ishvara. And that Ishvara is that consciousness which is you yourself. So that is the end point. The beginning point, we start with these distinctions. Dvau hi padarthau. Asmin jagati. In this jagat, there is only two kinds of things. Atma, anatmana. Two things are there. I and not I. That is also our beginning point. But what in our defense, I will say that this is the beginning point, not the end point. But whereas many other matas go, as the Maharshi is going to point out, that is sometimes, sadly, also the end point. They begin with the division, and they eat the division for breakfast and the division for lunch, and they have division for dinner also, lifetime after lifetime. So Jiva Jagat Paramatma Abhidhanena. Abhidhana means through the naming, through the categorization, through the distinction of this Jiva Jagat Ishvara, all philosophies start. Okay, then so what? Idam trayam, idam trayam yavat aham mati syat. So yavat means until which time. So what is the basis of these divisions? Is there a scientific basis on which have they done some observations? Is there a scientific basis upon which these divisions are made? No. Then what is the basis of this division? Well, I just came up with it, and so did the neighbor, and so did the other philosopher, and so did the other philosopher. Starting from so many things. If you're talking about Adi Shankaracharya, or you take Socrates, everybody talked about this threefold distinction. So what are these threefold distinction based on? Me. Me means what kind of me? Satchidananda me? No, 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 no. We haven't got that far yet. It is just the local me. What is the local me? Ahankara. This ahankara me. It is me. Who is this me? This is the me. The me that is, that is the I notion along with ignorance. Because if the I notion is quote unquote enlightened, then there is nothing to talk about. It is the I notion that has aligned with ignorance, the I notion that has come under the spell of Atma Ajnanam, self ignorance. And from that standpoint, like a small child, it is pointing and naming to all the things. This is Jiva, this is Jagat, this is Ishvara. This is what it's doing as a pastime, a collective pastime based on certain religions, various kinds of religions. So therefore, this is something that the Maharshi questions, because when you look into the deeply into what is that which sustains the divisions, here don't say it is Sachidanandam Brahma. Yeah, that ultimately everything is sustained by Brahman alone. But here, what is the immediate cause of these divisions? The cause is ahankara, the I notion which is mistaken about this jagat. The I notion under the spell of ignorance is mistaken about jivas. It's mistaken about Ishvara. It's totally mistaken. It's mistaken about itself. So it has numerous contentions. It has numerous ideas and ideologies. It is spewing out all the time without any recourse to any kind of a objectivity. It is a mata. It is a belief steeped in subjectivity and fear and sorrow and longing. I am different, and it sees certain differences between one body and another body and concludes this difference to be real and absolute. And so, when you think you are separate, based on the body, dehatma dhi means dehatma buddhi. Dehoham iti buddhi. And so, this is I am as good as the body, this kind of a buddhi when you have. And then, based on that, you make other assumptions. The Jagat is this way, and then Ishvara is this way. Ishvara is really mean. Why? Because I don't have what I want ever. And so this is how the threefold, this tritayam, this threefold distinction has come about from the vault of my own subjectivity. And it is a collective subjectivity leading to a collective delusion. This is what it is. And why is it a delusion? Because as long as these distinctions are in place, then they will keep on being nurtured separately. I have to take care of the Jagat. Oh, you have to take care of the Jagat. Yeah, lots of things are going wrong, and I have to serve humanity, and I'm doing a great seva, great service. Who says you're doing a great service? No, I did so much. I sent so much money. What did you need not have sent? Why did you send? Well, I thought I will help the people. Yeah, but maybe they don't need the help. Well, no, actually, I felt good about sending it. See, this is how it is. You think you are doing seva, but actually, you are the one who is sevita. You are the one who is served. This is the delusion, thinking, oh, I'm doing so much for the Jagat, and I have to do this, I have to do that. The Jagat will not survive without me. Okay, maybe that's a far cry, but my own Jagat, my own family, my own people, I am indispensable. This is all the ahankara steeped in the ajnanam talking. And so the whole religious solution, the solution of various religions is to keep paddling, to keep, treading water in place. Aqua aerobics. That's what they do, for some physical therapy rehabilitation. They tell for seniors and all, go in the water and just keep going like this. The muscles will strengthen and you will be safe. And there won't be so much impact, injury, etc., etc. You'll be protected by the water. That's what it is. It is just like treading water. What are you doing? You're not going anywhere. You're not going, you think you're going anywhere, somewhere, but you're not going anywhere. Those distinctions are here to stay, and those distinctions are keeping on being buttressed. Oh, I have to deal with the Jagat better, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. I have a Jiva problem, so I have to deal with other Jivas better. Maybe I should take somebody a present and then mend my fences. Oh, they are sick. I should take them some soup. Why this sudden charity all of a sudden? Well, who will bring me soup next time I get sick? So, this is how, this is how all the cultural, what is the word for it, interactions are spelled out based on these utilitarian beliefs and values, which is in turn based on keeping these categories intact. If these categories bleed into one another, everybody gets frightened. They should be separate. Ishvara is nice to go in and visit in a place of worship. And just go, join the hands, fold, and come back to business as usual. Me, a separate, longing, sad jiva. Sitting and singing sad songs. Darshan kab doge? When will you give me darshan? And then, Lakshmi says to Lord Vishnu, how do you tolerate them? Day after day, Lakshmi ji says to Mahavishnu, Vishnu says, don't take them seriously. This is how they are. This is what they do. Don't take them seriously. They are trying. They are trying. This is the. So, Yavat means until which time. Aham matihi, this aham mati, as long as it is there, as long as this feeling that I am a separate, discrete individual is there, idam trayam syat, these three distinctions will be there as long as the ahankara that is separating itself from everything else is active. And therefore, what? Therefore, sarvottama ahammati shunya nishtha. So therefore, hurry up and get this knowledge. And even though we have 40 more verses to study, there is a urgency in Ramana's tone here. Tasmat what? Sarvottama, the most wonderful, the most wonderful solution here. Well, the most wonderful upaya is to rid yourself of this notion, the ahankara, which is enveloped in embraced by ajnanam. The best thing to do is get rid of the atma ajnanam, and then you will have nishtha, nitaram sthitihi in what? In a, you will have nitaram sthitihi means you will have abidance in a reality that is not bothered by the eye, considering itself to be a discrete individual. Therefore, hurry up and gain this knowledge. Hurry up and don't waste time, gain this knowledge. Some more things to be said to conclude this verse and point out a few other things. We'll reserve that for tomorrow. And then, if there are any questions, we have a couple of minutes you can ask, and then we can say the closing prayers. I'll stop here for some questions.
Swamini ji, may I ask a question? Oh, she's not hearing me. May I ask a question? The microphone is not working. I'm out. I'm out. Hello.
I don't
Swamini,
hear
can you hear
if
me,
you are
Swamini?
talking.
This is just. Is this
Don't
possible?
hear you.
You don't hear me. I don't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, you can write it in the chat pod if you want.
It's not working.
Shubha had a question. Is that answered or do you still have it?
Can you?
I got it, Swaminiji.
You got it?
Yes, Swaminiji.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Doesn't look like there are questions. And then we'll do this again. Some other time we'll save a little time for questions. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ